Hey guys, there are a lot of fantastic scenes in Game of Thrones. We all know them.
I wish I was the monster you think I am. I wish I had enough poison for the whole pack of you. I would gladly give my life to watch you all swallow it.
And of course, there are a ton of not great scenes too.
You want a good girl, but you need a bad pussy.
Whenever you're ready, my lord.
But then there are scenes that never made it into Game of Thrones. Like this funny scene between Olenna and her son Mace.
Does this mean you'll be the master coin now?
It means I am the mistress of getting my grandchildren out of bloody prison.
Deleted scenes and the like are a part of every creative process. As a scripted novel editor, I'm well acquainted with leaving things on the cutting room floor, both for clients and myself. But the process for which scenes make the cut is always interesting to me. Some deleted scenes seem very well written and deserve to be in the show, like this deleted small council meeting.
If the wall should fail,
the wildlings will flood the north. Well, let them. Give Balon Greyjoy and young Robb Stark someone else to fight besides each other.
While for others, it makes more sense why they were cut, like this deleted scene where Sansa and Tyrion go hero mode against some whites. Still, there is one deleted scene that stands head and shoulders above all the rest and kind of has its own mythos amongst Game of Thrones fans. Pycelle and Tywin.
There are times when I have trouble believing it myself.
And why do you bother?
So many flowers, my lord, each wanting to grow the tallest, bloom the brightest. And one by one, sooner or later, they all get plucked.
I say this as both a fan and a professional. This scene is just phenomenally written. But if that's the case, then why didn't it make the final cut? Well, it really comes down to how scene construction and plotting is handled. So hopefully I can break these writing concepts down so you can all learn what should and shouldn't make it into your final drafts. Speaking of final drafts too, if you guys have any scripts, novels, or plays that you want edited, I am currently open to submissions. I even do proofreading and line editing for those more interested in getting your work polished. Check out my website link below for more info. Also, if you don't know, things have been getting pretty wacky on the second channel. I made some videos on The Boys that you might have seen, and another YouTuber tried doing a debunking takedown video against me. Here's a highlight from my reaction to it. I love... Wait, did he just like hand wave my evidence on screen?
That's not what he said. Again, we've already...
Yo, I'll put the full link below too if you want to check it out. Anyway though, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the context of the deleted scene, we can give some background on the two characters in the scene. Pycelle has long been the old, frail advisor to the royal family. He has been staunchly loyal to King Joffrey, and even though he's meant to be an impartial maester, almost all his counseling and opinions happen to support the betterment of House Lannister, the king's maternal and paternal side. Tywin is the other character, and he is best known for caring deeply about the legacy of his house and doesn't take kindly to fools or those trying to manipulate him. He is widely seen as the most wealthy, dangerous, and cunning man in Westeros, and is willing to kill men, women, and children if that's what it takes to achieve his goals. Now, if YouTube lets me, we're gonna watch the short 3-minute deleted scene, and I'll break down its component parts along the way so we understand it.
My apologies, my lord, for interrupting your time of leisure. But I only want to discuss a few matters with you privately in advance of today's council meeting. I often find that the council environment is less than hospitable to the principles of good governance.
You are no longer on the council. By official decree of the hand of the king.
Your son did conspire to keep me from my rightful place in the chamber, as well as affronting my dignity in other ways.
In my absence, my son was acting hand.
But you are the hand now, my lord.
But I have not revoked the acting hand's decree.
Oh, my lord, I must say that this is most surprising to
Perhaps
me.
he had it right. Perhaps in the Black Cells you truly found your level.
Oh, my lord, you cannot mean that.
Stop it. Am I the only one to see through this performance? Is it possible that so many could be so stupid for so long?
Okay, so like the vast majority of scenes, this one is written in a 3-act structure. What you just saw here is all of Act 1, the introduction, where the characters are introduced and the goals are established. In the context of this scene construction, Pycelle would be the protagonist, the character with the goal, with the want. Tywin would be the antagonist, the character who provides the conflict for the protagonist and stands in their way. Pycelle's goal is to be put back into a position of power. Simple enough so far.
Huh?
There are times when I have trouble believing it myself.
And why do you bother?
So many flowers, my lord, each wanting to grow the tallest, bloom the brightest. And one by one, sooner or later, they all get plucked. I don't want to be the tallest or the brightest. I only want to remain in the garden until my time comes to return to the dirt.
Well, thank you for your poetic candor. But I still don't see why I should let you back on my council.
The King's counsel, my lord.
I could have you return to the dirt this afternoon if you like.
Since the time I convinced the Mad King to open his gates to you, I have served the interests of the House of Lannister unfailingly.
Yeah, yet you still betrayed my son's trust.
Because I felt he was acting against those interests, yes.
Pycelle's reveal will never not be cool. This section was Act 2, known as the midsection or rising action. This is the part of the scene or narrative where we learn deeply of the characters, their goals, and their reactions to the goals. For all you writers out there, this is where your backstory and exposition goes, not in the introduction. We learn the ruse that Pycelle has been using and why he does what he does. Backstory and contextualizing information best belongs in the midsection. But notice Pycelle has not yet gotten what he wanted. And that comes in the Act 3 climax. Let's watch.
What have I done to earn this touching loyalty?
You have built the strongest house.
What happens when we are no longer the strongest house?
By that time, I will be rotting beneath the floor of the Sept of Baelor. If you deem my years of service worthy of that honor.
Well, in the future, you will serve me more actively, as befits a man of your vigor.
Yes, my lord.
Take those to the kitchen. I'll have them for supper.
Yes, my lord.
And here is the end of our scene. Pycelle has put all his cards on the table, confronted his antagonist, and has been put back into a position of power, though one serving Tywin more directly. We even notice after the climax there is a resolution, a come down from the heights of the climax.
As befits a man of your vigor.
Yes, my lord.
Take those to the kitchen. I'll have them for supper.
Yes, my lord.
If we are to judge plainly and objectively from a perspective of literary analysis and scene construction, this is a fabulously written scene. It has tension, twists, reveals, and stakes. But then comes the golden question, why didn't it make it into the final cut? Well, that comes down to writing and editing concepts called value charges. Put most simply, a value charge is how an individual scene changes an audience's interaction with the fiction. There are 3 value charges: positive, negative, and neutral. A positive value charge is when some new piece of material is added into the fiction, positive here meaning addition. An example of this could be Daenerys' dragons hatching. They were added into the fiction. A negative value charge is when some existing narrative material is removed from the fiction. Here, negative is subtraction. An example of this could be Khal Drogo's death. He was removed from the fiction. The trickiest value charge is the neutral value charge. This is when information is delivered that augments some currently existing narrative material. An example of this is Jaime's speech about why he killed the Mad King. We already knew that he did the action, but it changes our understanding of it. The most basic aspect of any of these three value charges is that an audience will have a different understanding of the narrative at the end of the scene. If an audience or reader gets to the end of a scene and nothing about the story has been added, taken away, or augmented, then the scene has no value charge and by extension doesn't actually accomplish anything. This is how to know if scenes can be left out of stories altogether or kept in. But since this is a deleted scene, does that mean that nothing of value happens during this interaction between Pycelle and Tywin? We learn a lot and get insight into the characters. Doesn't that give it value on its own? Well, unfortunately, no. And if you can believe it, it's because of this scene in season 1.
So what's the thing?
What thing?
About kings? You said the thing you need to understand about kings.
Things? What?
When you started, you... Never mind.
This early scene shows Pycelle having sex with Rose, stretching and then pretending to be old and decrepit at the end. This season 1 scene shows that Pycelle doesn't respect his vows as a maester, he's meant to be celibate, and that he's putting on this act of being feeble. If you have a sharp eye, you will have recognized these are the exact pieces of information that are delivered in the season 2 deleted scene with Tywin. He reveals he's not an impartial advisor with integrity, but a sycophant to House Lannister that wishes to fool everyone to stay in power.
Since the time I convinced the Mad King to open his gates to you, I have served the interests of the House of Lannister unfailingly.
The reason this scene was deleted is that ultimately no material was delivered that changed the audience's interaction with the narrative, meaning there was no value charge. We already knew Pycelle was faking, and we already knew he was a bad maester. But wait a minute, you might be thinking, but the information about him being loyal to House Lannister is new. Isn't that a part of a value charge?
Your loyal servant. So loyal that you told the Queen about my plans to send Myrcella to Dorne. No, never. No, it's a falsehood. I swear it. It wasn't me. Varys. It was Varys the spider.
Unfortunately, it's not new. We get that information earlier when it's revealed Pycelle serves Cersei.
How long have you been spying for my sister? All I did for House Lannister. Always. Your Lord Father, ask him. I've always been his servant since the days of the Mad King.
None of the events of the scene between Pycelle and Tywin are genuinely new at all. All the information has been previously revealed in some fashion. Even the symbolism of the scene is repeated. Tywin is shown fishing at the beginning of the scene and then tells Pycelle this at the end.
Yes, my lord.
Take those to the kitchen. I'll have them for supper.
This all takes place shortly before the Red Wedding, remember. The symbol of House Tully, Catelyn's family, is a fish. The cool subtext and symbolism here is that Tywin is going to have Cat and her family killed, just like the fish. This is incredibly similar to an earlier scene where Tywin is skinning a stag, the sigil of King Robert's family, foreshadowing the demise of the king and the ascension of House Lannister. Because of the similarities between Pycelle and Tywin's scene and so many others, it was eventually deleted. But do you want to know the irony here? As both a fan and an editor, even though I know they made objectively the correct decision by writing standards, I think the deleted scene revealing Pycelle's trickery is far better than the actual show scene revealing it back in season 1. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the season 1 scene is downright plain and boring. There are some boobs to keep you interested, showcasing early Game of Thrones trademark sexposition, but it's mainly just Pycelle babbling, Rose being confused, and then him slightly crouching to assume his disguise. Like honestly, if you blink, you would miss it. The scene with Tywin, on the other hand, depicts two old masters playing verbal chess, vying for position, bargaining, and being as Machiavellian as you could think. Pycelle's reveal is dramatic and center stage, and watching the shift in acting is just great. But ultimately, the scene doesn't change the story at all, nor the audience's interaction with it. Nothing comes from Pycelle's allegiance to Tywin, nor from this grand reveal. While I would have liked this scene to make the final cut versus the other one, I understand why it didn't. And that's the hard part of writing and editing. Sometimes you have to kill your darlings, those scenes and characters and events that are super cool, if it means your story will be better for it. Still, I am happy that we got to see this scene even on its own because, man, it's just so freaking cool. Anyway, thanks for watching all the way until the end. Make sure you check out that second channel video, check out my website for editing services and my books, and if you really want to help out, join my Patreon to support. As always, it was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you all again soon.